Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. I really wanted to train the capabilities of my legs today. I had the idea of doing some squats, different variations just to build up some strength and a little bit of mobility and the coordination to do a dragon squat or just learning different variations of squats. So I ended up accumulating too much fatigue in my hips. My hips are very sore, really impacted my ability to move today. I don't really want to gripe on too much about it, but a little bit of a mistake on my part. Shouldn't have trained so hard or took a little bit more time off to let the hips rest. Don't train too hard, but train efficiently. So a lot of different variations. On the off leg, it can go backwards, it can go forwards, it can go to the side like a dragon squat, and I ended up falling and catching myself in a handstand because I lost my balance a little bit. And the fatigue in my hip really made me take pretty slow today, and I wanted to do some hand balancing to let the legs rest. But still, when you have a prime mover of the body, the muscles or the body parts that move your body the most are your hips, which for me are very sore, and the shoulders. So I tried to use the shoulders in a handstand, but still the soreness in the hips was very detrimental to my performance. After the handstands, I just did an improvised movement flow, walking, trying to do some movements that will help heal the hips. Then I move into some shoulder mobility with a bridge and a crab position. It's very important to try to get your arms behind you and put your shoulders through a full range of motion. If you never put your arms behind you or put your arms over your head, you'll lose the ability in your shoulders. Your shoulders have the most mobility out of any joint in the body. They can really move in a 360 degree like a socket wrench if you train them properly. So do some bridges or just put your arms behind you somehow, some way. And I get into some shoulder bulletproofing here. My shoulders were a little bit tired from the handstand and the bridge, which really took a lot out of my energy that I could put into these external rotation in the shoulders. I do it both sides. This is a pretty good way to keep your shoulders healthy, reduce the probability of injury. Just put your arm and your elbow and your knee together like I'm doing here. Pretty good for bulletproofing the shoulders. And then I also do it on the other side to help work a little bit of the chest and the arms flexibility. I'd like to say thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. That's the best way you can support the channel. The main goal of my training is longevity, safety, fortifying the joints, the muscles, the tendons, making myself just make it injury resilient. Just trying to fortify the joints. Joints are a very common thing to injure. Muscle tears and tendon injuries are pretty similar, but they all focus around the joints. So I spend a lot of time fortifying the knees, the shoulders, the elbows, ankles. Yeah, all of the common points to get injured. So that's why I spend a lot of time there. Here, I'm working on some handstands. It took me a little bit. The first couple handstands were not too good. I kept falling. But once I got my balance underneath me, I started just flagging off to one side, off to one arm. So I try to lean over and put as much weight on one of the arms as I can, and then I lean over the other one. The intention here is to, prepare myself to learn a one-arm handstand eventually. After that, I just get into some ground stretching, seated stretching. Again, my hips are very sore, very fatigued. So just some gentle sitting and using some of the muscles, trying to get some blood flow into there, try to promote some healing. Most of my lower body goals involve using the hips mainly, along with hips being the prime movers of the lower body. It puts a lot of pressure and fatigue onto the hips and a lot of moves are mainly hip focused, like the middle splits, the butterfly that I'm doing here that eventually will be a lotus. The only things that don't really require the hips too much are the backflip, I guess any acrobatics, along with some footwork. But it's not like those movements don't use your hips at all. They use a good amount of hips, but it's not quite as much as middle splits and lotus and some of those other strength moves. So, yeah, overall, the hips are the big limiting factor for a lot of my training. Hopefully, once I can get to where I want to be, I can take some different focus, maybe focus on the lower legs, like the ankles and the calves, trying to build up those ones along with the knees. My knees, I've been able to not have any trouble managing the fatigue on the knees, and while still building up some of the thigh strength and the butt strength. Again, going on for some more stretching. This is the hamstrings pike position, very useful for press handstands, and I guess some ballistic shoulder stretches here. A lot of what I'm doing is in a flow, and then here's some footwork, but my hips being kind of fatigued really made me not able to do the footwork too well. So I tried to do like half of footwork, half of ankle training, which was a pretty good amount of training in the ankles. You can check out the foot playlist, Foot Health, if you want a tutorial on my specific ankle training. But I'll have some more training for you guys tomorrow. Hopefully my hip will be better. Bye-bye.